we've all heard that quote that success lies on the other side of your comfort zone. Well, today let's talk about that, but not only that, but let's talk about anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, maybe even just the fact that you might be surviving off of 5 cups of coffee or a constant coffee drip all day long. You are feeling like you have such amazing ideas, goals, dreams, but you just can't seem to get yourself to do them because you are being bogged down with a lack of focus. Your mind is feeling frantic and you feel fragmented in that sense that maybe you don't feel like you are enough or worthy. And that can show up in ways like we're constantly seeking new information, new certifications. We're feeling like we need to verify our thoughts that are out there, and we need to compare ourselves to others to make sure that we are enough. And maybe that's just preventing you from even putting your course or your work out in the world, whether you're an artist, a writer, a course creator, or anything in that realm. And by doing so, it's these self-sabotaging thoughts that I want to explain where that comes from. Why do we believe that we are not enough? Why are we fragmented? And then let's also talk about how do we shift that? How do we transform that into gaining our focus, whether you've had the focus before or it's something that you know is possible, or maybe it's just a dream. But how do we establish that focus? But most importantly, how do we feel whole? So that we can start to show up as our authentic self, so that we can allow our dreams and desires to come true. Hello, I am Izzy Nally, and I will be your presenter today. I am also the host of this group and a couple other groups as well, so you might have seen me in a few places. I am a mind-body therapist as well as a business consultant and coach. And yes, there is a difference between being a consultant and a coach. Coaching means you have all the answers and I'm pulling them out of you, and consulting means I'm giving you that wisdom. Whenever we work together and when I work with my clients, we're doing both. We're doing the therapeutic work because you'll hear me say, if you heard me earlier this week, owning a business and allowing your business to grow and scale will be the biggest transformation that you've had in your life, because your business becomes that reflection. It becomes that mirror, so that when you personally are stuck, you'll see that your business is also stuck. So that's why this kind of work is so important, and this is what the Fall for Yourself Summit is all about, that there's that inner work as much as that outer work to do for you in order to have the success that you want. So again, today's talk is about moving out of this frantic and fragmented feeling and moving into feeling focused and feeling whole. I often speak about when I do this presentation in particular, this time in life. Well, I say time in life, but my tendency, and I know a lot of you all are the same way, where we tend to get more done when there's more on our plate versus when there's only a few things on our plate. We get really distracted and we start doing a million of the other things and really struggle to be more on the preventative side and more on the wait until it turns into a dumpster fire and then I can hurry up and fix it up. And what that really leads to is craving adrenaline, and you're running off of this adrenaline, these stress hormones, in order to fuel you doing your work. And so it's become a learned tendency where we've learned how to adapt under stress, so much so that we don't know how to function without it. And we have to change that relationship, but we won't go too far into that. I want to give you some tools today that you can actually start to implement to begin healing in this journey getting some amazing results, and some things for you to think about so you can begin to heal this and really start to gain that focus. Now, what I call this, and I've seen a couple other people call it this too, and I love it because we're all on the same page, is this energetic hygiene or our self-care hygiene. Just like we would take a shower every day, and unless you're a new mommy and yeah, sometimes that world hits, or brush our teeth every day, which I've heard, during COVID, a lot of people, kind of struggled with that too. And so we should always make sure that we're there. But we also want to imagine that we're going to wash our mind, we're going to clean our energy, just as we would do on the external. So that outside care versus as much as that inside care. All right, so that's where we're going today. I have a lot of concepts. You might feel inspired. I hope you do. So you might want to write a few of these down. But if not, you can always come back and catch the replay. So where do we get this belief that we are not enough? Where do we get this belief that we are broken, right? And that we need someone or something to fix us? Well, sadly, as much as I love marketing and I teach marketing, and I think marketing is a beautiful thing, unfortunately, it comes from marketing. So marketing can be disempowering or it can be empowering. And that is marketing techniques that can be used. And I really want to encourage people to do your marketing in a way that does encourage and empower others. That if you have a problem, we address the problem and we show them that they can have a result. And we can do this in one of two ways, and let's talk about how marketing tends to do it. Well, they tell you that you're not enough, that you're broken, and that you need this item to fix your life, to make you happy, right? Like, oh, it's such a pain. We've seen those silly infomercials, and you see people fumbling and oh, they're so sad, and then suddenly they have this item and they're so happy. And really, that's what people are craving. They're craving, they want to be happy. And by taking the responsibility off of themselves and for figuring out what is making them unhappy in life, it's really easy to go, yeah, that's why I'm unhappy and I'm frustrated all the time. It's because all of this. And it's teaching us to blame other things. And when we start to blame other things for our problems and for our lack of happiness, it makes us feel a little bit better that we don't have that responsibility. And it also makes us feel like that we could just buy something to fix our problems. And that's one thing I will never tell anyone when they work with me. Sorry, not sorry. But when you come and do the work, you have to show up to do the work. You're saying, I'm taking responsibility. I no longer want to live in conditional happiness where I'm basing my happiness off of object to object or thing to thing, thinking that someone's just going to fix me. That we're setting that side down and we're rising up, we're aligning with our values, we're empowering ourselves, we're taking back our power, and we're saying, I am the only one that can fix me. And I'm going to sign up for this program so that I can have a guide to guide me along the path and show me the work that I need to do in order to better my business and better my life and live a life with intention and happiness. Now, who does that sound like? Does that sound like you? Or are you the one of going, no, just give me another one of those $47, $97 courses. I'm going to watch all these videos, or I'm going to buy it and it's going to sit in my emails and I'm never even going to watch them. But I felt better because I bought it, because I think I just need that knowledge. I just need. Okay. And I'm telling you to set an intention. And we're going to get more into this, to set an intention of what it is that you really need. And what you need is a guide. What you need is an expert. And it's not just any person. And you don't have to just have one coach or just have one guide. We can have multiple guides within our lives. Okay. I've had 2, 3 coaches or mentors at one time because I knew exactly what I was needing, and I was getting that from different people. Just like in our life, it is codependency to say, oh, my partner is my only friend, and I'm basing all of my emotional relationship needs on one person. That's why we should have friends. That's why we should have a community, that we get and fill different needs, relationship needs from different people, because it's a lot of responsibility for one person to hold all of the relationship needs, if that makes sense, a correlation. All right, so let me ask you, when we're talking about procrastination, when we're talking about people pleasing, we're talking about anxiety and a lack of focus, what good is it to be working on projects that get no results? Better yet, what good is it to be working on projects and not even finish them? Who has run into this? How many of us start a million projects and we don't finish any of them? Because we lack the focus. We lack the vision. We lack the mission. And this is something that I teach in my millionaire marketing makeover, is we have to have that clarity. I'm gonna walk you through the steps on how we work through this. As I mentioned, society is really teaching us through marketing of like, you need this item, you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need to buy this, these items are going to fix you. And we have things such as shopaholics, right? We shop therapy, trying to spend our blues away, where we're eating to try to push down the emotions that we don't want to feel, because we're avoiding the work that really needs to be done, and we're putting that blame on other items, and in that we're keeping ourselves trapped in that conditional happiness, rather than allowing ourselves to do the work, the inner work, to develop that unconditional happiness for ourselves, where our happiness is not shaken by a fleeting moment, or a comment that someone makes, that we are still happy, that we just might be a little upset about that thing, but it doesn't truly shake us up. And so we really want to develop, again, that conditional or unconditional versus conditional happiness. So things that we might notice when we are in this conditional happiness, meaning we're placing our happiness on something else rather than it coming from the inside. So it's coming from the outside. So seek happiness inside yourself, not outside. I'm sure if you follow a lot of philosophy, you might have heard something like that. So we see our body as not enough. All right, we're constantly trying to follow the next fad, the next diet trend. We're trying to get ourselves looking, and we look in the mirror and we're just not happy with our body. We're never happy. We're always judging. We're always comparing. Maybe it's thinking like, oh, I don't have enough skills, right? I need another certification. They're not going to believe me. I don't have enough credibility. And no one might have even told you that, but it's just something that you feel, this imposter syndrome that can continue to come up. We compare and we judge ourselves to others. And so this judgment factor is, again, feeling like we are never enough. Now, tip and trick here is it's all relative. It's all relative, because newsflash, someone is always going to be more advanced than you. Someone is always going to know more than you. Fact. Newsflash also, though, someone is always going to be 5-10 steps behind where you are too. You know, new babies are being born every day. New people are graduating high school every day. People are going through the same human stories over and over and over. You know, we look at philosophy and psychology, and the human condition is being watched and studied over thousands of years. The same main struggles that were happening way back in the day are still being talked about. We look at these ancient religious books, it's the same things that are really speaking to our hearts and souls. And the reason being is that we're all going through these same struggles. And as humans, we can help each other through these other human problems and human conditions, such as relationship, love, belonging, feeling safe, feeling valued, feeling purpose. Struggling with the desires that are on our heart versus our duties that we have to do at home, the stresses that we put on ourselves, our subconscious programming that is handed down through our family members. All of these things are just continuing over the decades. And for us to truly evolve, let me guide you through some steps. So first and foremost, we have to practice non-judgment. So when we practice non-judgment, we have to first catch ourselves. Awareness is always that first step. So with practicing non-judgment, we first need to recognize when we're judging. We need to recognize, when am I comparing myself to this person? When am I saying I'm not good enough, and what does that look like? So the first step, and you might do this for just a month or two, or it might be a week. It might be a day. So it's going to be different for each one of us to recognize that we are all individuals, we are all unique, and everything is relative. So when we start to bring in that awareness, oh, I'm judging, then that second step would be to remind ourselves that it's all relative. To remind ourselves that each person is going through their struggle. Each person is living from their own existence, from their own experience. And to say, you know what? This is me. This is what's perfect right now. Such as our body, for example. We can change our perspective. We can change our view. When we think about the word exercise, what if we change that to the word movement? That instead of saying, oh, I have to exercise hard every day, that we can say, hey, I need to get in some movement throughout the day. So we can change our words, we can change how we are perceiving our body. For example, when we gain weight, it's not that our body is broken or ugly, it's that our body is speaking to us. Our body is telling us something. When we get wrinkles on our face, or our skin is dry, or we get white spots on our nails, or our teeth are stained, that is an effect of something that is going on with our body. Just as like if the eyes start to yellow, it can tell us there's a liver problem. If we're starting to gain weight, it can be a sign that we're not managing our stress. It can be a sign that we need some emotional work to be done. If we are starting to get dry skin, it might be like, oh, I'm not drinking enough water. My body is out of balance. I've strayed from a safe zone and I've become detached. So it's such a great thing and a reminder to get out of your head and into your body. Out of your head and into your body. Because our body is where we are having this human experience from. Our body is what's taking in the sounds, the smells, the sight, the tastes. Our body is how we experience. Our mind is just a tool. So fun fact, do you know that your heart is actually sending up messages to your brain 9 times faster than your brain sends it down to your heart? That we can drop into our body, and if you've experienced that, you'll understand that term, but we can experience everything, and then we can tell our mind what we want to experience as well. And so I have a fun exercise that I do for that, where you can actually feel what survival feels like in our body, and we can feel what abundance feels like in our body. By just saying certain words, we can start to tune into those feelings, and we tune into those feelings, and we can start to tune into all the information that we're taking in all day long. All right, so number 2, so first was practicing non-judgment. The second one is noticing your goal, your mission, and your vision. So what's the difference between a goal, a mission, and a vision? Well, a goal can change. And a goal can change a lot if you do not have a mission and a vision. But your mission and your vision become your anchor, okay? So by practicing non-judgment, we're getting out of our head and into our body. That's an anchor. By having a mission and a vision, that also becomes our anchor. And when we have that mission and vision established, that anytime we are setting a goal, we're allowing ourselves to prioritize. Is that in alignment with my values, with my mission, and with my vision? And if it's not, then it can go on another list. So I really like, and this is just a side note, write this down, okay? When prioritizing, this is huge in gaining focus. Prioritizing. And so you can have a list. If you're a list maker, who's a list maker? A task checker. Sometimes I write things on the list just so I can check it off because it wasn't on the list and I like checking things off. So if you do that, yeah, let me know. But I have this list that I sometimes have to get out if I'm feeling like my mind is starting to get frantic, and go, what do I need to do today? T for today. What needs to be done this week? W. What needs to be done this month? M. And then what's on the bucket list? B. Okay? At some point, this needs to be done. And it's important that we write those down so that we don't forget, because if it's floating around in our head and it doesn't have an anchor, then it's going to keep coming back in our mind. But we can set it aside and we can say, okay, it's there. I don't have to let it swim around in my brain a whole lot. And we can start to recognize what it is that we really need to focus on. Because if our list for today, or we just have one list, we end up getting nothing done because we're so overwhelmed. So when we can really say, okay, this is the list that needs to be done today, is that actually practical? What can actually be tomorrow? Okay? And what can just have to be done this week? And what I like to do is I like to set 3 things that must be done today. And we also have to make sure that they're realistic and set a SMART goal for that as well, because it might be really something that needs to be done this week. And I need to break down that item into what can actually be done today. So I had a meeting with someone and they said, I need to do this task. And there was no comment that this is urgent, it must be done today. It was important, so I said, okay, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. Please send me any information that I'm gonna need to complete that task by the end of the day so that I can get started on it tomorrow. Okay, so by taking on that CEO mindset, that business owner mindset, we have to prioritize. And so if you have a big list, a task list, I recommend go through and right next to it. And normally what I'll do is I'll put a little T circle, W circle, M circle, and then I can actually organize out that list. But categorize it, prioritize it, so that you can actually start to gain that focus. And if you're needing that additional motivation to go oh my gosh, look how much stuff needs to be done this month, this week. Okay, I have to get this stuff done today. And then ask yourself, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, how can I feel less overwhelmed? How can I make this an enjoyable process so that I can share my gifts, my purpose? And we also want to check in with some of those tasks too, to see does this pertain to my vision and mission? And if it doesn't, then why is it on your task list? Okay, so we really need to take that time to do that. And I recommend to set aside that time. And I know as I say this, a lot of us out there, we despise routine. We have this little inner rebel, this inner toddler. We were just talking about this in one of our coaching sessions this week, how we need to recognize this inner toddler and parent it to go okay, this is how we get stronger. Do we want to stay in our survival mode, which is our or our comfort zone, or do we want to jump the fence and move up into success? All right, so goals can easily change if we do not have that vision and mission statement. Number 3, another anchor, is that we need to practice being in the present moment. And present moment exercises are beautiful things like meditation, which I know I mention a lot, We can also do gratitude exercises. We can do sensory exercises. You can get outside and be mindful and present in the moment. We also practice mindfulness and the present moment, again, by getting out of our head and into our body. Out of our head and into our body. And we do that by tuning into our senses that I mentioned. So the vision, where we can be mindfulness of being outside. Auditory, where we can listen and we can tune in, and maybe we listen to some music. I mentioned Monday, we can get into the moment by singing and dancing. We can feel with sensations. And I'm sure we've all heard of Tantra or Tantric yoga. That's really what Tantra yoga is about, is our senses and allowing ourselves to maybe just sit and stroke our skin, or to put on a face mask and really take it in and smell it. Those are all Tantric sensory explorations. Taste, we can do mindful eating, mindful drinking, right? Like, who doesn't want to do a mindful eating exercise with a piece of chocolate? So those are different things that we can do to get into that present moment. And then fourth, super, super key, I'm going to post a picture about this afterwards too. It's eliciting our healing response, the vagus nerve system. And we do that through a deep relaxation. So this is important because if you get tired often, because you're probably eliciting a lot of adrenal responses in your body, that constant coffee, for example, putting a ton of stress on your to-do list, if you have a larger belly or some belly fat that just won't go away even if you're eating healthy, those are signs of that adrenal fatigue that could be setting in. And we want to really practice eliciting that relaxation response so that we can move out of survival and we can pull ourselves into this beautiful, juicy, healing energy that really truly gives us back the present moment, that gives us back our power, that gives us back our focus, and really allows us to move out of that survival mode so that we can pull ourselves away from things like PTSD, trauma, anxiety, ADHD. So this one really is a true key in these anchors. And it's super simple. You can look up a yoga nidra. You can do savasana. Getting yourself into that healing response. So let me know if you want to know some more of those, but super, super important. The biggest visualization I can give for you for that is imagining yourself floating in the pool. So, we have to relax deeply in order to be able to float on the surface of that water. And if we have just the littlest bit of tension in our body, we start to sink. So trying to take on that feeling, for example. And then last, but certainly not least, is we need to tune into our creativity, spirituality, and allow ourselves to tune into the heartfelt feeling of our vision and mission statement. And we can do that with our mind being a tool when we tune in to those feelings and we allow ourselves to create this visual. You can bring that visual into the real life by speaking it, by creating it, such as a vision board. But more importantly, it's able to sit with that vision and create those emotions so that you get into this space of creativity and spirituality. And we really allow ourselves to open up our energy. And as we open up, literally like expansion versus contraction, tension, stress, right? Like, then we're bringing ourselves into abundant mindset. So much more becomes possible because we're able to see it. And when we're able to see it, we can look and have focus. But when we're in tension and there's all this stuff going around, it just becomes noise and it's so hard to focus. So it's really, really important for us to do that. And as we gain our focus and we gain this creativity, we can really allow ourselves to become the expert in our field, to step into being an authority. We can explore the creativity of research and put our passion and our purpose. I find that most people in life are searching for intentionality, purpose, impact, and experience. And so thinking about what it is that you really want in your vision, and really saying, like, what is my purpose in life? And when we can align to that, we truly bring on our happiness, and we become so much more unwavering with these anchors. So ask yourself, when you want to manifest these things in your life, these goals, these dreams, your business, but you're feeling frantic and you're feeling fragmented, to take on these steps. And let's review those one more time. So we want to practice non-judgment. We want to create our vision and our mission. We want to practice being in the present moment. We're going to elicit that relaxation response, so that deep relaxation. And then we want to tune in to our creativity, our spirituality. We want to manage that hygiene. And you can do that just by checking in with your goals each day, with journaling, with meditating, creating some kind of spiritual practice or ritual, so that we can get into this groove, so that we can really tap into the self-work that we need to do to find our intentional living, our intentionality. I had a thought this morning. I was watching something and it hit me that, so many of these shows that are out, these sci-fi shows that I watch a lot of, is talking a lot about being timeless, being endless, being having eternity, right? And what if someone was to really not be able to die? Does that really ensure their happiness? I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, if I could live forever, I could acquire so much wealth, and I could learn all the things that I want to learn. I could do all these things. But if you really look at the average person, they have the time, they have the capacity, but we spend so much of our time thinking about the things that we can't do and finding excuses and focusing on our limitations, that we're not allowing ourselves to really step into our power. I heard someone say a beautiful quote this week. It's not that we fear fear, it's that we fear our own power. And what if you allowed yourself to really step into your fullness and into your power? What if you allowed yourself to really open up and do some amazing things and make an impact in this world? Because I guarantee you know it's possible. You're here, you're watching this, you know it's possible. There's this little glimmer of something bigger, knowing that this dream could come true, that business could come true. And so in order to step into that, we have to step out of our comfort zone. And so we can step out of our comfort zone by hiring a coach. You could step out of your comfort zone just by talking to someone and stating that this is the business I want to create. You could step out of your comfort zone to change your habits. You could step out of your comfort zone to say, I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to rise up. I'm ready to empower others. I'm ready to step into my purpose. And so if you are ready for that and you do need a guide, then I'm inviting you to come join me for 9 months as we create something amazing together, as we step into your purpose, as we heal these subconscious mindset blocks, as we rise up and up level, and we allow your business to repair the gaps, to fill in these things that you keep glossing over, glancing over, to recognize all the things that you might be telling other people to do in your business, but you're not doing yourself, and what are the blocks behind that. And we're going to work through all of that. We're also going to establish our marketing, become the expert or authority in our field, or be seen as that, to accomplish any of those other goals that you want, but more importantly, to launch your business and start making money. So we really want to be able to get our first 1 to 10 clients Maybe you've had your first client, maybe you had a couple clients, maybe you're ready for that second level and you're ready to start consistently getting 10 clients every month. So we're going to work with you. We're going to do some individual coaching, some group coaching, which group coaching is amazing. And we're going to make this happen. But just like a personal trainer, and I know because I've been a personal trainer before, you can't just go to the personal trainer on the days that you pay for and expect to get these amazing results unless you're going to the personal trainer 3 days a week. Even then, you still have to do the diet and the nutrition at home. But what the personal trainer should be giving you is the guidance of what you should be doing on those other days. Giving you that insight and those tools and that framework so that you can begin implementing and changing. And so you get to choose, do you want to have the personal trainer once a month, once a week, twice a week? So you get to choose at what level you are going to be able to do your thing on the other side and how much hand-holding that you need and accountability. Regardless, you still have to show up and do the work. You cannot hinge your success on someone else. What you can do is have a guide that you trust. And I would love to be that guide for you. If you'd like to have a chat, free consultation, no worries. People will tell me all the time these consultations, they get more out of that than they did their last paid coaching session. And you can go to calendly.com/IzzyNally. I'll put that in the comments below. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. I hope you have a lovely rest of the week, and I hope you're tuning into all of the other speakers that are going on within the summit. And I'm wishing you so much success and love. You are enough, and all of your dreams are possible. All right. I will see you later. Bye.